Welcome to a slightly different Artis Opus video. Check that out, it's not finished, and the reason that I'm showing something that is that confusing is that we are about to embark upon an idea that I've kind of had in the back of my mind for a little while now, and the idea that I have is for us to embark upon basically a Lockdown 2.0 community project army. We're going to end up with something pretty special. That's the idea of it anyway. And I would really like your guys' input at every single point of this process. I'm going to be getting the rest of the army done, and I have no fixed plans for that. All I have is a kind of a rough idea of theme, which is basically kind of a nightmare cultist cabal, which can involve some demony-like things. If you have a really cool idea for a conversion, or you think like, hey, you haven't used something like this, like they look like cultists, does that mean anything? And the idea is that we're going to be kind of going on this journey together, and hopefully at the end of it I will end up with something pretty special looking. I don't even have a paint scheme in mind. Nothing has been decided yet. I'll be able to show you how I go about things. You can learn from my use of different products or different ideas, or I can tell you exactly how I decide what goes with what and stuff like that. And likewise, I want the same back. So I want to be coming out of this project having learned some really interesting stuff too. Whether it is naming my characters, telling me what models I can use with what, suggesting like some really scary masks that come from like Necrons to put on some Nighthaunt models, or you know, anything like that. I really do want to hear exactly what your thoughts are on this project, or how you go about kind of converting your own things and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into kind of some of the first start of the process. Again, to show the model that was the beginning of this, I'll hold this base separately because it's a monster. So that's the base, which is pretty funky already. This is the model, and that's it. That's all we've got. So we'll show you what I've been working on the desk, and hopefully together we can come up with something really special over the course of the next few episodes. The beginning of this army was this freaky chap who's got a slightly wobbly wing. This was Dryker, which had a significant amount of hacking, which conveniently can be hidden very easily under these shoulder plates. Around the back, I'll pull this off and I can give you an idea. I've got two Phoenix wings which are kind of socketed with green stuff, and those sockets themselves have then been pinned. I had really specific angles in mind. What we wanted here was just for things to look pretty freaky. Now, he needs a friend, and if you look that scary, your friends would need to look pretty scary as well. Started off with what is arguably one of the coolest bases that GW have come out with, in fantasy at least, in Age of Sigmar, in a while, which is the Vermin Lord. Just a really dynamic pose, loads of variety in it. And I want this thing to look like a scary fairy. Enter Mortarion, or more accurately, Mortarion's wings. I've not actually held these as a bit in person. I hope that they are the right scale. Let's see how this looks. They could be all right. Not too much in terms of the way of silly, like bionic bits or stuff like that. Any holes I can just fill in with a little bit of green stuff and sculpting. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. So what I'll do is I'll just roughly clip these off, and then we can have a look, kind of dry fitting them, just holding them up to the model to see if they will work, which I hope they will. They are very big. The Vermin Lord's actually not got a huge body. He's kind of Demon Prince sized, and we'll have to see how that will end up kind of looking. Oh, I think that's going to be amazing. A lot of GW models have wings that are kind of, obviously none of this is real, or technically he couldn't fly with those wings, but a lot of them do have wings that are quite small. So hopefully this guy should look pretty sweet. So I really do hate assembly with an absolute passion. I don't mind converting, but this bit here, this is my least favorite part of the hobby. I know for quite a lot of people it is actually a favorite part, kind of they find the therapeutic value in building the models and following the instructions and stuff like that. I hate it so much. I hate the little plastic fluffy bits you get. This is a lifesaver. I do love my stiff nylon brush, but really, yeah, I don't get too much joy from this. It will be worth it when he's done though. I'll keep telling myself that. Where possible, if anything does have kind of obviously canon symbols like that Skaven Horned Rat symbol there, I'm just going to go in and get rid of them. They're quite nice shapes. It's a bit of a shame because I enjoy painting stuff like that. I enjoy washing and dry brushing stuff like that on metallics in particular, but if I can get rid of them, I will. Some are going to be more tricky. So these, rather than being raised, are indented. Again, we've got the Horned Rat there and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to have to try my best to fill those in, which I'm not particularly excited for, but I'll work out what material to do that with soon. That one there, because it's raised again, I can just scrape that and get rid of it fully. Do take care when you're doing stuff like this, but a decent amount of pressure and some care and a sharp blade should be all you need to get rid of them, and you might even manage to preserve the rivets around it. This is an X10 X-Acto blade, so probably everyone in the world in this hobby has seen an X11 before. It's the typical one that it comes with. X10 is just the same but curved, as you can see, and what that allows is for you to use it in completely different ways. So I use this for scraping things smooth in recesses, like cloaks that have got a join in the middle, which is one my pet hates, and stuff like that. It is absolutely invaluable. Look at that. Really, really useful tool. And then that, plus a little bit of, this is 2000 grit sanding sponge. That's often all you need to kind of smooth things out completely. Right, because I'm lazy and I don't want to sculpt. Let's see if I can use super thick plastic putty here. This is sandable, which is where I'm kind of hedging my bets and hoping that it'll work. I guess we'll find out though. Here we have a detailed weapon. It's got this lovely, gorgeous texture all the way along it. And then unfortunately, because it's round, I cannot avoid this. Check out that line. That is grim. So the way that I approach this is X-Acto or any hobby knife or Citadel mold line remover. Any of those is fine. I go at it from both directions. I'm not using one that's too sharp here, and that's not because of a safety concern, although obviously you should always be careful if you are using a knife. If it's too sharp, it will stick and you'll get judders. You don't want judders. If you scrape closer towards the securing point on your blade, it will flex less. So that's another way to avoid it. Stiff nylon brush, this is an absolute beast, gets used a lot. And then 1000 to 2000 grit sandpaper, that is a perfectly detailed weapon. With these filled in details, I'm going to show you exactly how much work goes into making things smooth. Working on the axe here, you might have noticed in time lapse I disappear and get some sandpaper. If you get a little burr in your blades, something that is going to stop them from being smooth, the way to find that is to get a blade and run it down, and if there is a point where you're like and it sticks, that means you've got a burr in it. What you can do, especially if you've got good quality sandpaper, this is 2000 grit, anything between 1 and 2 is fine generally. You can run it at angle down your blade. I'm kind of running it at 45 degrees. And what that should do is remove that burr from your blade there, and that means that you can go in and do some kind of super technical work without worrying about it. Now, if you get this wrong, the wrong angle, you will blunten your blade. Sometimes that's useful, sometimes it's not. If you want to keep things sharp, keep the angle extreme, and if you do want to blunten, keep it more like 90 degrees. So you've seen a bit of my work on the desk now. Hopefully it's enough for you to get an idea of kind of the theme of my army. The reason for choosing the Beastmen is they literally get a scenery piece that looks, it's a worship stone that is covered in kind of sacrificial bits and bobs and stuff like that, and I can plant that in the middle of an army, and that helps reinforce my theme to people and helps me get away with murder as far as using whatever model I think looks the coolest and is just mildly scary. I really want your feedback. If you think there's some cool models I should consider, weapons is something I haven't decided at all. Like, do I want everyone with scythes if possible? Can I get the Vermin Lord's massive weapon that we saw earlier, and can I chop one bit of that off and then have a cool curving side blade, or even use this, chop it off and put it in a different direction and somehow suggest that it's a scythe? Do I want to go for axes? Do I want to kind of push them in the direction of corn? I mean, Bloodthirsters are cool. They are lovely models, they have brilliant weapons, lovely shapes on them. Are you working on something? Have you had a cool idea for a conversion before that you haven't managed to pull off but you think I could give a go? Are there some pieces that are amazingly obvious that I should be using? Do you think I should have a load of like little scuttling ghouly type things or stuff like that? Or have you got inspiration from an artist from, like, I don't know, D&D or like computer games or anything like that that you think I should be looking at? So pop all of those suggestions down below, they'd be massively appreciated. And on the subject of us appreciating your suggestions, what I would like to do is bring attention to some comments which are going to appear around the screen. These 3 are comments from our giant flesh giveaway that we said we'd do. So please get in contact with us via social media or the email support@artisopus.com, and we will send you your paint set. So for each and every video of this series, we'll pick either the funniest or the best suggestions, or something that I think like, yes, that's it, I'm doing that, that's great. And they will be rewarded with a set of their choice and a texture palette of their choice. So thank you very much for your involvement, and I will catch you in the next Army Lockdown project video.